everyone, it's Gina from Gina C Creates, and today I'm going to show you how to make these Minnie Mouse Concha ears for your next Disneyland trip. Head over to ginaccreates.com to download the free pattern. You're going to need a 1-inch headband, some material, some felt sheets, cardstock, glue gun, and of course my PDF printables, and you're going to cut them out with your scissors. Or you can upload the SVG and cut it out with your Cricut. But for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut out the pattern and trace it onto your material. But for the concha icing, I am actually going to not cut this part out, and I'm going to cut it with my Cricut. And you're going to need a strong cardstock. This is 110 pounds, or you can use cardboard. And you're going to take the back and middle piece, trace it over your cardstock or cardboard, and this is going to act for your support so your ears will stand straight up. So once you trace the pattern over your cardstock or cardboard, you're going to cut it out with your scissors. If you love conchas or Mexican themed stuff, make sure you go check out my Etsy shop where I have tons of SVG files ready to cut. Once you have these two pieces cut out from your cardstock, you're going to trace them over your brown felt. I'm just using a pen to draw on top of the felt, and then I cut them out. These will act as your back pieces to your ears. Next, you're going to take your pattern labeled front, and I actually updated the file for you so you'll have more of a tab at the bottom. Now you're going to use it to trace over your brown felt, and you're going to do this twice. And I say brown color felt, but it's really like a tan. I believe it's called cashmere, and you could get it at Walmart or Michael's. Make sure to use new scissors or fabric scissors so your felt pieces will cut nice and smooth. And now we have the two pieces for the front of our conchas cut out. Next, we're going to work on the concha icing, and I chose to do pink. So instead of cutting out all of these shapes and tracing, I am going to cut it with my Cricut. So to cut it with my Cricut and get those nice clean lines, you have to use heat bond. And I just picked some up at Walmart, or you can order them on Amazon. They just come in a full sheet, so you have to cut it down to size. And I have a perfect little piece right here. As you can see, on the back is the transfer paper and the front is the shiny adhesive. And I'm going to grab my icing to see if I measured this correctly so the icing will fit. So I'm going to lay the shiny face down, and I'm going to iron on the back side of the transfer paper. And I'm just going to hold it down for 2 to 3 seconds at a time and making sure I got all the edges. Once you're done applying your heat, you could pull off the transfer paper, and you could see that the heat bond is stuck to the felt. And you're going to lay that face down onto your mat. You're going to set your dial to custom, and on your computer you'll locate the felt custom setting, and it's going to cut it about 5 times to get through to the felt. And as you can see, the heat bond really did help cutting felt, because if you don't cut without the heat bond, sometimes it just leaves it really jagged, but this gave me really nice clean lines. Next, we're going to transfer the concha icing to the front piece of the felt. So what I'm going to do is take the bottom layer first, piece by piece, and piece it back together where it's supposed to be. I'm going to center it so you can have a halo going around the entire concha. And you're just going to have to play with it a little bit to get it the way you want it. And since it has adhesive on the back side, you're going to take your protective transfer paper and press down for 3 seconds at a time until it's completely adhered to your brown felt. Now you can see how that came out really nice. You could just fix any imperfections. And you're going to take your scissors and you're going to make slits going all the way around your concha. Make sure not to go all the way to the pink icing. And you're going to take your middle cardstock for support, and you're going to apply hot glue to the very edges and flip over your brown felt. Please make sure to use protective heat gloves when you're using hot glue. If you're not used to it, this can really burn your skin. Make sure to leave the opening of the concha because we are going to fill it with this polyfill. I found this at Walmart for only $3, and you could just imagine how many concha ears you can make out of it. So you're just going to open it and stuff it until it has a nice round consistency. I sized my concha ears to be 4 inches wide, and if you're going to use the SVG file, you could go ahead and make them any size you like. Once you have it filled the way you want it, you're going to pinch it closed, and you're going to take your hot glue gun again and just flip over that bottom brown flap like so, and make sure all your edges are closed. And then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to take your back piece felt, and we're going to just apply hot glue to the edges again all the way around, and we're going to place the back piece felt on to cover the imperfections. So make sure you press down the glue and pinch the edges so you won't see any of the glue and the folded parts. So now you'll have 2 complete conchas, and now it's time to do the bow. I chose to use the Mexican serape material, and I'm going to use this big square to cut out my bow. So I'm just going to find the pattern that I like on this material, and I'm going to start tracing around it. And this is 5x7, I believe. And I'm going to, that's the front piece, and I'm going to trace it again to get my back piece. So I'm just going to lay it right next to the edge. So I'll just end up folding this over to make a complete square. So you're going to take your sharp scissors again and cut this out. Since this material is woven, you will have a lot of strays, but you don't have to worry about right now. We'll just clean it up after our bow is complete. So you'll take, this is supposed to be the bow center piece, and you're just going to trace it out and do like a tri-fold and glue it shut with hot glue. So next I'm going to add hot glue to the sides of the bow and along the bottom, but I'm going to leave a gap at the bottom so I can fold my material inside out. So go ahead and trim off the edges now, and once it's dried, find the gap and flip your material inside out and push the corners out so you can have your nice square. And we're going to take the polyfill and fill it a little at a time, so until it has the right consistency of your bow, you can make it as fluffy or not fluffy as you want. So I'm just pushing around the polyfill to make sure I have it all in the edges and even out in the bow. And I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and line up the seal on the bottom. So now I have a cute little pillow that I'm going to use as my bow. And I realized that my center strip was not long enough, so I doubled it. But don't worry, I updated the PDF, so when you download it, it will be the correct size. So we're just going to pinch the center of the bow, and where we glued it is where I'm going to start with my center strip. So all the gluing could be towards the bottom. So I'm just measuring to see that it fits. And now I'm going to apply glue just to the center of one edge. And I'm going to hold it and let it dry. And then once you have it dried, you can pinch your bow and wrap the center around it and stretch it so it can pinch the bow. And you're going to have to hold it with your fingers and apply more hot glue to the edge of the other center. And then you're just going to pinch it shut, and you're going to want to hold it for a few seconds so it could dry. And that's all it takes for the bow. Now we have our Minnie Mouse bow ready to go. Now we can begin to assemble. So you just need your 1-inch headband, your 2 concha ears, and your bow. And I'm going to center this and place my ears at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And I'm going to put the bow at 12 o'clock. So that's how I kind of use it for placement, is how I think of a clock. So I'm going to apply a generous amount of hot glue, and I'm going to place the concha ear towards the back of the headband. You don't want to scoot it to the front edge. You want it on the back edge of the headband. And just hold it in place. And just make sure to flip it over and check the back that there's no gaps, and you can fill it with hot glue. As you can see, I placed the concha ears towards the back because this bow is really fluffy and you're going to want to place this towards the front of the headband. So I'm applying hot glue to the bottom of the bow and scooting it to the front of the headband, and I'm holding it down for about 10 seconds so it has enough time to dry. And that's all it is to making concha themed Disney ears. I hope you really enjoy this and try it for your next Disney trip. I hope you give this project a try. There's no sewing involved. You just need some felt sheets, headband material, and your glue gun. So give it a try today, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time.